I think this is an interesting case study where in EpiPen, we've seen kind of one form factor dominate the space until recently, where we've had a nasal spray. Enbrel may be a case where we've seen multiple iterations of form factors try to enter the market with varying levels of success. Enbrel is Intercept, the generic name, really trying to treat, various chronic diseases. So, this is typically a drug that patients are taking on a, weekly, biweekly, consistent basis for, most of the rest of their life. And so it's, it's a relatively high patient burden. And so there's been a lot of effort in, okay, how do we make this more accessible for patients? How do we make this improve patient compliance? There's been the single dose vial form, there's been the pre-filled syringe, there's been the auto injector, and then there's also been the auto touch, which was a reusable auto injector that's on the far left that had a cartridge piece, so it had disposable and reusable piece. This has also been used to treat patients that have some mobility and dexterity issues. So the idea is that you can have something with a better form factor for people with dexterity issues, control the injection speed. If you look at kind of the market entry data for this, the auto injector and the pre-filled syringe actually kind of dominate the space. So you would think when people can control their injection speed or, kind of reduce waste by having, that reusable auto injector, that might have actually been useful for people, it would be connected and everything. But at the end of the day, whether, it was payer issues, whether it was too expensive, whether it was just, too much for people, we don't have all the data behind that. I'm certainly not the company, so not liberty to say all the reasons, but, you look at the data and say, okay, when there's that many options on the market, you have to take a look at kind of what patients, if you look on the website, really the pre-filled syringe and the auto injector, sometimes simpler is a little bit better. So when we look at moving into more novel spaces, we need to look at, okay, what do patients actually want? And this is going back into that target product profile. Do patients want something really fancy, or do they just want to get the drug to the right place? And what's going to do that most effectively? What's that going to do that in the most familiar way? And how is that going to land, with payers and reimbursement frameworks? And then when you look at cost of goods on a global scale as well, you're going to have to look at reimbursement globally. Well, a pre-filled syringe is going to get different reimbursement from an auto injector, and then from a sustainability issue. So we have a lot of different push and pull factors. And when we look at a global market, global launch, we have to balance all those things and determine kind of what's going to be the best option for your patient population. So this is kind of an instance where there may have been too many options, and it may have been best just to kind of focus on what really was going to be best for the patient and really take the investment there.